Greetings seekers, this is Black Pope Vice. It has been a long time since I made a video. I got a phone recently enough and it has a lot more memory on it, so I can record a lot more videos in length. I'm going to be redoing my prayer platform video right here because I just never liked the original one and I want to do something more thorough and just better. So let us begin. What is a prayer platform? A prayer platform is really a concept for runestones. By the way, this is what the current generation of runestones looks like. They have 6 lines. This is a heart healer. This is a blood one. It's got 6 lines. This is a help heal the processes relating to dream experiencing. This is an older. These are older models. I recently stopped patient processes. And I have this prayer platform out here, just kind of give you an idea of what it looks like. It doesn't have to be a tree piece. It could be any sort of circular object. It can be a mirror. It could be a plate. It's supposed to represent the pentacle or the discus of the types of alchemic elements relating to the earth. So you want that. You put the enchantments on this, and it doesn't have to be runestones. It really could be any kind of enchantment. We include that in the activation code. These 4 sequences of Wunyo Reidhao repeated 4 times encompasses everything on the prayer platform, which is encapsulated by those characters. So it's a mass enchantment projection technique. So the prayer platform isn't specifically, it could be a variety of things, as I said earlier, but the premise of this is that we want to have all these enchantments activating their healing protocols or other protocols without having to carry this many rocks on our person. And I use more rocks at periods of time. Not currently. I'm going through and updating everything to have better, more Generation 4 protocols. You know, those guys right there. And this is all Gen 1 through 3. Actually, no, it's not Gen 1. It's Gen 2 and 3. Gen 1 is very different. But, so this allows the prayer platform mass projection and mass enchantment projection technique allows an individual to remotely target their enchantments that they use any distance, and depending on the nature of enchantments, some of these don't have a blue Feihu at the end of them. Some of them do. These models in the Gen 4 one all do. I don't always add the blue Feihu at the end in Gen 4 stuff, but the purpose of it is that, so if I put those Gen 4s with the blue Feihu on the prayer platform, not only does you, the target, get the benefit of those healing protocols or other protocols, those protocols are going to radiate outwards from you into the environment. I don't know the exact range of how potent these are, but it's more than 6 feet, and I don't want to say it's anything more than 33 feet. And that would be radius. So the limitation of this is that you can only use 8. I haven't tested out more than 8, but this rune right here, the Awaz, it looks like an M, it's the character E, is associated with Sefnir, and that has 8 legs. So maybe there's a way to get around doing 8, but I've never done more than 8. I haven't really experimented in a way that would make me confident in doing 8. It might be possible, but I think if you are an individual, doing more than 8 might be too draining on you. I haven't had any problems with mana generation or regeneration or productivity or energy levels because I'm taxing myself on 8. So I recommend, following the example of people before you until you get comfortable enough with going beyond your teachers. So I recommend 8 at the time. And if you are, a holistic healer, having 8 clients with various rune stones, I have a theory that certain interactions, energy interactions with an individual can cause changes in the crystal. And if you have more than 8 targets, 8 clients, 8 patients, you might not really have the time to focus on watching and observing the individual changes. Usually in the past, not putting sealant on the paint would help you kind of determine the entropy happening in the runestones, but this paint is a bit more sensitive, so I'm sealing it up, and since I'm also going to be selling them on Etsy, I'm kind of want to make them a bit more tough and resilient, because these can be anyone rather than people who I've traditionally kind of screened out as students who are getting these devices. So let me explain the protocols. So this is the basic technique for activation and projection and targeting of this. So I'll explain a little bit. If you read my lectures, I explain a bit in more detail about green Fehu and purple Kenaz, but these are essential elements to making the magic potent. One of the ways I argue that my magic is so potent is because I come up with these techniques that are fundamentally give me the edge over people who, they read more, they meditate more, they do energy body work more, etc. These processes, these techniques, this technology gives me an advantage where I don't have to do all this cultivation and discipline. Not that I'm not aspiring to do more of it, but it's going to give you an advantage. So what is green Fehu? Green Fehu is basically projection of energy from your heart chakra. That energy source, because that's where, as much as you could say energy can come from your Svadhisthana or the battery in your third eye, that the heart is the nuclear energy that you have in the body that is theoretically infinite in a way that the Svadhisthana or the mental energy is not. Because ultimately, I'm an ethical monotheist, and we are, at some level, human beings are lent bodies out from the ethical monotheist. And this energy is supplied through that. And if you have any kind of, cleverness to you, you'd be like, well, isn't this kind of like a limiting model? Yes, and so is the purple Kenaz. So, this is kind of a gatekeeping technique where, I'm not personally gatekeeping you, but the creator is with how your potency of, energy protocols are. So if you are up to no good, you're probably not going to have a lot of potency with these techniques, but I digress. So the purple Kenaz is a transmutation technique, and it's associated with the violet flame and the angel. I'm forgetting Zadkiel. Sometimes it's spelled with a TZ, or sometimes it's just spelled with a Z. Zadkiel, yeah, or Tzadkiel. So he's associated with the violet flame, and I figured this out in 2018, the correlation between the violet flame and the purple kenaz. It is a mental transmutation tool. I believe when you read the texts like the Kaiblon, they talk about various tools, keys to the temple. This technique is one of those keys. So once again, this is a gatekeeping element, not necessarily through the source of the ethical monotheist this time, but an angel who's obviously approved at some level to guard this technology. So these 8 lines represent various sequences that I believe are ideal, that if you're a student, you're a novice, or even someone a bit more experienced, you want to get in the routine of practicing. So, Fehu Kenes Ansus, Fehu Kenes Isa, Fehu Kenes Hagalaz, Fehu Kenes Fehu, Fehu Kenes Wunyo. Then that's line 6. You don't have to also necessarily do that, but lines 1 through 5 and 7 and 8. Feyu Kenes Berkeno, Feyu Kenes Berkeno. These techniques I like to think are good form that you want to practice because they accomplish a variety of means. This is a basic banishment. This is a basic realignment of values, protection, blessing, and more blessings. I like to view particularly these 2 lines, as kind of karma points in terms of their functionality. And I think I just think it's good form. These Berkenos, this one's for secrecy, and this one's to wrap all these in a sequence like a bundle. So this lines 1 through 5 and 7 and 8 are going to be universal with almost anything I teach regarding enchantment wise and projection wise and such. But this is the line that we want to focus on for the prayer platform. So Fehu Kenes Wunyo Redo Ingwaz Wunyo Berkeno Ewaz. This is a sequence for activating the power of the prayer platform. I have 4 Wunyo Reidhaus to represent many enchantments. You don't have to literally do every enchantment. If you just do 4, it's going to encompass the whole thing. Wunyo Reidhau is to finish the sealant, so it's like all wrapped up together. Awaz is for projection, and these blank spots are for you come up with your own Fukarth code. I use particularly Elder Fukarth to associate as a name with an individual who you're targeting. I use 3 rune staves or 3 characters for myself, but on average I tend to use these days bless me more rune staves. On average I use 6 to designate a target, but there are some people who I only use 3 for. I like to for people who sometimes I do names or associate things with names or aliases, but for mine it's in a magical form. So I think the last thing we should have to do is just show you how I did this in a I'm gonna give you an example of what it looks like. Feyu kenes onsus, feyu kenes isa, feyu kenes hagalas, feyu kenes fehu, feyu kenes wunyo 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 wunyo, feyu kenes wunyo redo, ingwas wunyo redo, wunyo redo, wunyo redo, wunyo redo, wunyo berkeno, ewas, feyu dagas nanaus, feyu kenes berkeno, feyu kenes berkeno. And that's it. That's the prayer platform technique demonstrated. I gave some information about what to do, what things mean, and why it works. So that's it. I have to make another video in a moment, but I wanted to update my prayer platform video because I didn't like the original one, and I think this one's much better. Thank you. Have a good day, Seekers. Bye. Black Pope Vice out.